Had Honda not stolen a march on its opposition in 1992, by launching the game-changing CBR 900 RR FireBlade, Yamaha's YZF750R released the following year could well have been the early 90s superbike template instead. Back then, 754s and 1000cc twins were superbike racing's favored format, making the 3/4 liter class a hotbed of technical development. The YZ750 raised the bar substantially with a host of new clever tech, much of drawn from Yamaha's racing experience with its full factory TT F1 racer, also known as the YZF750, and its previous homologation racer for the road, the FCR 750 R OW01. On paper, Yam's new 750 had Suzuki's aging GSX R750, and even Kawasaki's much-loved ZX R750 kicked to the weeds. Its 749cc 20-valve motor produced a claimed 125 brake horsepower, pushing a dry weight of just 196 kilograms to a potential of over 160 miles per hour. And unlike the eye-wateringly expensive OW01, the YZF was built in dual specifications R for the road and SP for the racing homologation. Despite racing success and performance that could keep a FireBlade honest, the YZF750R never captured the public's imagination in quite the same way as the 900 Honda. A shame, yes, but for those looking for a handsome, capable, engaging, and groundbreaking modern classic, the YZF short-lived pomp makes for a bargain buy today. Yamaha used the old OW01 engine as a template for the YZF, borrowing the FCR's 70-by-46mm bore and stroke, forward canted block and 5 valves per cylinder layout. But by the time they'd been through the whole unit, tweaking each area as they went, no parts were actually interchangeable between the two motors. The R model fuels through a bank of 4 38mm Mikuni downdraft CV carbs. The SP features race-ready 39mm KN/CR slide carbs. Mid-range torque is given a helping hand by way of the exhaust system's X-up valve, first featured on Yamaha's FCR 400 and FCR 1000 models. Basically a blade situated where the downpipes converge that opens at higher RPM to offer the dual benefit of strong low and mid-range pull, as well as maximum gas flow at high revs. Like the AO and FCR 1000 models before it, the YZF houses its generator behind the engine block rather than on the end of the crank to aid ground clearance. The 6-speed gearbox sits horizontal to the block space, saving stacked gearboxes were yet to make it to market. But stability was never an issue with the YZF, so an overly long swing arm wasn't required. Performance is brisk, especially above 8,500 revolutions per minute. It'll rev on to 13,000 revolutions per minute if needed. The X-up valve certainly helps bulk out the YZF's mid-range. But compared to a FireBlade, which has natural grunt on account of cubes, this Yamaha needs high RPM on the dial to really get into its groove. Aluminium and lots of it. That's a YZF 750 chassis. The heart of this Yamaha's handling is its massive delta box beam frame and heavily braced swing arm. Like the engine, the YZF chassis is a natural development of the R01 layout and design, but trimmed, tweaked, and improved for a new era. A 25mm reduction in wheelbase compared to the R sharpened up the YZF turn in response, while new 41mm USD forks keeps the front end in check, and a braced swing arm and fully adjustable shock works the rear. The YZF was an early adopter of 6-pot calipers, biting down on massive 320mm discs. Many owners retrofit R1 Blue Spot calipers, which offer far greater bite and more consistent performance, but fitting them requires chamfering the back of the fork legs, not something purists really want to do. Handling is sweet, sure-footed, and stable, much more so than the nervous-feeling blade. Many racers who campaigned YZF to great success commented at the time how neutral and easy they felt to ride, and that ease of use is one of the YZF's greatest strengths. That's if your legs can stand the cramped accommodation. Compared to modern superbikes, the YZF 750 feels big, but once you acclimatize to the riding position, this Yamaha proves itself to be accomplished at both road and track riding. de rigueur in the early 1990s, but a fad that faded out by the end of the decade when one-piece four-pot calipers proved their superiority. Several issues occur with the YZF stock calipers. They require regular maintenance to perform at their best, and service items can be expensive. 12 pistons, 24 seals, etc. R1 blue spot calipers, a popular upgrade, offer much better performance, but the fork legs need chamfering to fit, spoiling the bike's originality, and 3 the discs can warp, so give any setup thorough inspection. You know the drill with Yamaha's 4-stroke exhaust valve by now requires yearly attention removal. Clean and re-grease with copper grease if it's to work properly. If a bike's had a complete aftermarket system fitted, the X-up valve will no longer be there. Crappy ethanol-rich fuel can wreak havoc with fuel systems, and the YZF 30-year-old fuel pump can be one such casualty. Replacement can be horribly expensive. Check that the fuel reserve switch works, get a test ride if you can. Gearbox is strong, check second gear holds under load, but clutches can be a pain with plates sticking together if a bike's been standing. Fresh plates and springs would be a good idea on a rarely used example. A decent unit, but has its foibles. The rings can stick in place if a bike's left standing. Oil use will be thirsty as a result, with smoke a possibility. Regular use can persuade the rings to seat better, however closing the gap between the bore and ring and therefore preventing oil from getting past. General oil usage is a Yamaha thing, so don't be alarmed if a YZF needs a little top-up every 500 miles.